Hey y'all, welcome back to the ranch. I'm Jared Paul, and today we're going to get to checking out one more zone that I have up on the deck for my spring bonsai tree layout on the bonsai benches. And first I wanted to show you the dominant Trident Maple that I did a Trident Maple video yesterday, but I did not have this guy on there. And this is the one that I'm growing to be about my height, like these apple trees, 1 and 2. These apple trees I actually repotted into a bigger pot recently, and I gave them a little pruning, and you see they're already budding out. I cut them back relatively hard, not caring about fruit this year, but they've just been straggly and not growing well the past 2 years. So I gave them some nice soil, mixed in some time release tree fertilizer, and pruned them back hard. Hopefully they'll respond well. And right here in the middle, this guy has been relatively unpruned, except for if a branch breaks off here or there. Since I've gotten it, it's the only one I've left to be full size, but I will cap it at the height it's at now. So yeah, just a nice large pot, some good soil, mixed in some decomposing bark mulch, and got those little white marble chips in there too. So it's down here at the veggie and fruit beds that I'm freshening up. I just added some of that decomposing 2-year-old bark mulch and some topsoil with manure in it in these 3 beds. And I'm going to do that again tomorrow, and then I'll cover it with cardboard and apply some new wood chips as a weed barrier and to help keep the moisture in. So these are raised beds. They're planted on top of bark mulch, like an 8-inch layer of bark mulch and cardboard as a weed barrier. And then the topsoil is kind of filled in like a gully, and then surrounded again with that same bark mulch. So there's 1, 2, and 3 with the tree farm backdrop. So anyways, we're gonna go hit a trail because it is absolutely gorgeous today, 70 degrees Fahrenheit in Northwest Connecticut. And then we've got Liverpool later for the Champions League soccer. So great day. I will show you the trees up on the porch. This is an area of the porch. It's just kind of like a mishmash. Doesn't really make much sense. All the misfit kind of trees that made it to the porch display area. So that's what's coming up on today's episode of Jarhead Bonsai. All right, so here we have 5 trees that are nice and well balanced. They are just outside the plant room where there's a lot of tropical plants and lots of nice windows. So I didn't want anything too high that would be blocking the sun from those trees that are on the lower shelves and such. So I did a medium height, little schmedium height, with a nice hardwood shelf I have above a bench, and then 2 little stools on the outside. And this tree here and these over here, they had not been repotted. It hadn't been that long, so I really didn't want to mess with their roots, especially they look good and comfortable in those pots. So they're not terracotta, which doesn't really match the rest of the vibe going on, but I felt like for this year they would just do better overall, like this. So you see, these are easy to see. These are avocados, both from seed over time, about 3 years, both getting some nice branching in a different way. This one has a canopy where it all kind of hits the same apex and then flares out from there, nice and tall and skinny in the middle. And then this one here, it has a few trunks actually all growing very vertically next to each other. So I don't know what I'm going to do with that one yet, whether I'm going to turn it into a weeping and maybe wire or just kind of let it go. But it will. This one is the umbrella above a forest of Dilonyx regia that all kind of grew after the fact in recycled soil. And this one is above a nice and squiggly, gnarly black locust, which it was just floating as a little seedling, and it rooted in this pot. So that's how they coincidentally got together. But anyways, in both cases, the avocado is going to act like a weeping tree or a canopy, a nice high canopy above, and then the other trees will be below. So, and then lastly in the middle, this longer terracotta pot. These are 3 trees grown from seed from our Europe trip a couple of years ago prior to pandemic. Franny performed in Florence And so we went from Florence, drove up to our family museum in Dresden, Germany, and then across to Paris, France. It was an epic couple-week trip. Gathered thousands of seeds, spent $75 to get them back to the U.S. And out of those thousands of seeds, I have an Italian wisteria, a European birch, and maybe a white spire, and then a Norwegian or a Norway maple. So a really cool planting of 3, and we'll get in close on them in a second. Yeah, cool. Let's do that. All right, so just left of them, and where our little chaise lounges here. This is something where I would lay in full sun without any sunblock, just maybe some coconut oil to tan, and Laura and/or with Stella would pull it into the shade. So it's nice there in the corner. It hides the doggy door over there, and provides a nice other area that I could do here. So I have 3 plantings over here. The first is a cutting of an avocado down there, plus a bunch of different seeds from hemlocks and red spruce, I believe. Yes, I believe it was a red spruce. So they're in there down below. And then up top here, we have to the right, we have Zelkovas, 3 of them. And then to the left, we have 4 sweet birch, all grown from seed, of course. I haven't done the landscape other than found this really cool rock. It's not quartz, it's not sandstone, but it's cool. So I put that as a nice little backdrop, kind of forest divided. I feel like the trees to the left, the sweet birch, is like the good side, the happy side, and then the creepy Zelkovas to the right with their lots of branching and darker trunks. So it's kind of like a forest divided. I thought that was cool. It's in a plastic pot that looks terracotta color. I didn't want to disturb that one. Well, actually, I replanted it in this one because this pot had plenty of room. So I didn't spend the money on the extra terracotta. And this one is one of my bird baths converted into a forest planting. And it's a bunch of different Italian figs. It's Ficus carica maybe. And they produce the fruit, and they're delicious and amazing. These are a bunch of cuttings from over the years. Sometimes they come back strong, sometimes they don't. But I just did a nice little menagerie of them kind of scattered in there. Some with nice woody trunks, some younger, but nonetheless. All right, so we're done looking at those. Let's get in closer on these. All right, so here we have a viburnum. And this thing it was a nursery return rescue on my part. And it's supposed to have these nice puffy white flowers. It has not flowered yet, but to be fair to the tree, the first couple of years it was in terrible soil in a really dark location. And just last year it got repotted into this pot and got a little landscaping done. Its first pruning, I didn't take too much off, because the goal is to get this thing to flower, and then we can improve from there. So I think this is our year. It's got a nice little windswept look to it. You see it's budding out nicely. They're like furry little leaves. Yeah, there you go. Cool. And then some moss, a local rock, and some marble chips. All right, here is that black locust I was telling you about. You see the bottom of the trunk. Love that. And it does come out with a nice little canopy. This thing has had a battle with 1 or 1,000 spider mites, but it looks to be settling in nicely into this pot now. And the avocado is looking amazing. Lots of potential buds if I was to prune it back. I'd like to just let it get lots of energy this year. It's going on 4 years, so it wouldn't surprise me if we maybe get some fruit. So I'm gonna let this thing grow this year. And love those locust trunks. Even a young tree, 3-4 years old, starts to get a lot of texture. Cool. The Italian wisteria, bought in a seed pack right in one of the market squares in Florence. And there's maybe, I don't know, 5 or 6 seeds. Got one to grow. Got a cool little base to it. I never wired it or anything. I've got natural mulch chips around all the trees, some thing of moss, and then like a V path where if you're in a park, you could walk around, look at the trees, and continue on. I love this birch, everything about it. Love birches. Young, they're really cool. I know everybody loves the white when they're older, but when they're young, they are really cool. So that's budding out strong. It's got a triple base there. And this one here, the Norway Maple. I had to chap the tops. It was growing a little leggy. Norway Maples. If you like Norway Maples, check out my broski at Boston Bonsai Idiot. His channel. He has some serious Norway Maples and some good history on them. That's my first and only. So anyways, moving on. The other avocado, as you see, like I was saying, it divides here. Hope you can see that. There are 3 branches, and they all kind of branch out there and go vertically next to each other. And I like what it's doing. I don't need to make it a single. I like that nice full weep. And these got a hard prune. They didn't grow much back towards during winter, but now in early spring, they're all budding out nicely. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of those, so 7 trees in total. Not planned. And this one wasn't planned as well. It's got some really nice moss and marble in that plastic white pot. And this is a local birch. All right, so finishing up, my phone's yelling at me because I'm running low on memory. So take a look at this birch budding out. And just like my maples that I showed yesterday and most of my other trees. Here we go, let's do this. And we get us focus. Anyways, like those, I'm going to prune for aesthetics this year. So this one may or may not get a pruning. If it gets a little too leggy, I might nip the tips at the peak of growing season. But other than that, it's about 13 minutes from the Liverpool-Benfica match, so I am going to get inside, crack open a brewski, and enjoy that. So from my family, yours, hope you enjoy your day as well. Cheers.